Good morning, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane and Hurricane HD video blog for Wednesday, June 13th, 2012. The main item of interest today is Investigation Area 94E here in the Eastern Pacific. This is the coast of Central America, and you can see the fairly small storm system trying to wrap in here. That counterclockwise twist to the cloud mass. There is the center of the circulation, at least as far as initializing it for computer models. It's still a fairly broad defined center, but it's going to likely ramp up and track in the direction, eventually it seems, of southeast Mexico up here. So interest along this region, anywhere from the Gulf of Tehuantepec into southeast Mexico. You definitely want to keep an eye on this system. Some of the computer models indicating a fairly good chance of rapid intensification. Some do not, so it's kind of up in the air as to exactly what's going to happen. But with this being a small overall envelope of energy, it can ramp up very quickly. And on the other hand, small systems can also be susceptible to falling apart very quickly. It's my understanding too that the hurricane hunters are going to fly in and investigate this system, and I'll post about that on the HurricaneTrack.com homepage. And of course you can follow tweets from Hurricane HD as well as Hurricane Track on Twitter about what Recon finds when they do in fact get into this system. Looking at sea surface temperatures, boy, these are very, very warm. Anything you see in this red color is 30 degrees Celsius or higher. And this right here, it blends right in with my telestration color. This is 31 degrees Celsius water. We're talking very, very warm water. Lots of ocean heat content in this area for the system to tap into. Water temperatures in the upper 80s all along the path of this system. So that's why it needs to be watched, at least for the heavy rainfall that it's going to produce. And it's got a chance at becoming a very powerful but small, maybe a hurricane. A lot will have to do with how quickly it can organize before conditions change around it. As I said, the intensity models are a little bit wishy-washy. They're not all in a consensus agreement that this will develop into something potent, but there is potential there, so keep that in mind. Looking at the Tropical Cyclone Formation Alert from the U.S. Navy, pretty much anywhere in this box is their avoidance area with the track. Something like this, again, heading towards southeast Mexico over the next few days. This is El Salvador. This is the Pacific coast of Guatemala, and then you get into the southeast portions of Mexico right here. So any interests in this region, seriously, be on the lookout for this. Stay alert to what's going on with it as it tracks off generally to the west-northwest to northwest over the next few days. In the Atlantic Basin, all is quiet. No tropical cyclones expected to develop. No depressions, no storms, no hurricanes. The Gulf is remarkably quiet. Just limited convection down here, kind of associated with the broad area of low pressure with 94E in the eastern Pacific. Maybe a tropical wave trying to sneak in here at a low latitude down near the coast of South America, but nothing expected to develop over the next several days in the Atlantic Basin. We will be watching, though, to see if some of this energy in what we call a monsoon trough sets up somewhere in this region as the MJO pulse, that favorable upward motion feeling in the atmosphere, if you will. If that becomes more favorable, we might see at least an increase in convective activity over this region of the Atlantic Basin, Northwest Caribbean, Southeast Gulf of Mexico, to the Bay of Campeche down here over the next few days. But again, nothing imminent. I don't see any consensus among the models that we're going to see any development, at least between now and the weekend. Looking at the Madden-Julian Oscillation, I was mentioning that, the MJO, this is a very strong upward motion signal here off the southeast Pacific region and here just to the west of the Central American coast. That hangs tight over the next few days across a good deal of the basin, the Atlantic Basin. This is our current analysis. This is 5 days, 10 days out, and finally 15 days out. Looks like Africa may become convectively much more active as we move through the month of June, which may send some tropical waves out into the Atlantic, those pulses of energy that start moving westward off of Africa. When you see the MJO go favorable over Africa, you start to look and see, hey, maybe some of these pieces of energy will come out, move their way west, and then they become seedlings in the Atlantic basin for development down the road. Just something to keep an eye on. Again, nothing imminent in the Atlantic, so that's good. We'll be watching 94E in the eastern Pacific, likely to become at least a tropical depression, but from there, kind of hard to say. That's what we'll continue to update this for, is to keep an eye on that and keep you abreast on the latest with that system in the East Pacific. I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com and Hurricane HD, that wonderful iPhone, iPad app, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.